Life Over Coffee. Conversations for Transformation.
Hello, my friends. I am Rick Thomas with Life Over Coffee, where we create resources to spark conversations for transformation. One of the resources that we have in our store is it's a case study book. There are 48 short case studies, and each one of them has a few questions, 2, 3, 5 questions that you can answer. This is an outstanding tool to sharpen you in the area of discipleship or biblical counseling. We suggest that you actually use this with a friend, that you don't do this book by yourself to where you become the student and the teacher at the same time, because you may grade on a curve. And so you want to answer the questions and then submit your answers to someone who is well versed in biblical counseling and is willing to give you excellent feedback on the questions that you provide to these fictional case studies. Now, you can use it as a tool like that. You can also use it in your biblical counseling organization. If you want to buy a stack of these books for your class, for your small group, please let us know, and we'll give you a super discount, because it's not about making the money per se. It's about getting our resources out. So we do want to cover our cost, but we also want to get these resources out. By the way, we are underwritten. We have people who support our ministry, and if you believe in what we're doing and appreciate what we're doing, and you're in a position to where you can support our ministry financially, then I appeal to you to do that, because we have way more people who use our resources, praise God, than the number of people who actually support us financially. And so we're always asking the Lord to bring financial partners to our ministry. But you can go to our store and get this 48 case study book. And I want to share with you case study number 7. The title of it is When Prayer Kills a Church. Now, these stories are not real at all. They're not about anybody that I know. And I definitely don't know anybody named Biff, Mable, Biffy, and Biffina. They're 2 children, but they are fictional. I think I said in the very first case study, it was on procrastination. And I said, if these case studies sound like you or anybody that you know, that is a coincidence, or it could be the Spirit of God trying to get your attention because He's telling your story through these fictional case studies. But anyway, this is case study number 7, When Prayer Kills the Church. And so let me share it with you, and then I'll ask you some questions at the end so that you can sharpen your discipleship skills. Biff is an angry man whose temper has caused significant issues in his marriage. 2 weeks ago, Mable gave him an ultimatum: seek help or face the end of their marriage. In response, Biff reluctantly attended church with Mable last Sunday for the first time in over 11 years. Now, as a pastor, isn't that the kind of person that you want to come to a church meeting? It is mandated that you come. Now, praise God that he's coming, but those are not the best motives for coming. By the way, I've counseled many people like that as well, where they've been mandated to come to counseling, and no question that these are the hardest people, because they don't want to be there, and they're very pragmatic, and so they're doing it for the wrong reasons, because they're trying to salvage something, whatever that may be. And in Biff's case, he's trying to salvage his marriage, but nevertheless, he's at the church meeting for the first time in 11 years. Mabel's church is a solid, God-loving, conservative community with authentic relationships and deep affection for Christ. However, Biff found the experience deeply uncomfortable. During the worship service, he was unsettled by the congregants lifting their hands in praise. Before the sermon, the pastor invited the congregation to gather in small groups for prayer, making it clear that their participation was optional. And so he gave them a release clause, meaning you don't have to pray. It wasn't mandated that everybody in each little group prayed. When it was Biff's turn to pray, he just felt humiliated. He also, as you might imagine, he was angry, and because of his fear of man, he felt judged by the strangers in the group, as though they were holding up a sign with scores of 1 to 10, grading everybody on their praying. The experience actually left him feeling alienated rather than welcome and included in the group, and this also heightened his resistance to ever going back. Now, Mable faces a challenging situation. She wants to honor God in her marriage, but doesn't know how to navigate Biff's reaction to the one and only church meeting that he has attended in the past 11 years. Additionally, the pastor, noticing Biff's discomfort, praise God for that, he asked Mable about her husband's response to the service, leaving her unsure how to proceed in helping Biff, without driving him further away. Now, this is case study number 7, when prayer kills a church. And as you can see from hearing that there's many different angles here. Mabel's ultimatum, Biff's experience and response from going. The pastor also has a role here too, and so there's a lot to consider. Question number 1, should the church people seek to be who they are unashamedly, or should they be more attentive to the seeker's expectations? Explain your answer. Now, that's a nuanced question, and so as you answer it, you have to cover 4 or 5 different angles to think about the question. It's not just black and white, so don't answer it that way. Number 2, the pastor asked Mable about Biff's response to the church meeting. What would you tell the pastor if you were Mable? Now, this will be an opportunity to assess Mabel's fear of man. It will also meaning if she fears rejection from the pastor, she may say, oh, everything's fine. Basically, she may lie to him. Of course, she could take up an offense for her husband as well, and she could come across angry. Or she could come across like a Christian and just give it honest assessment as she understands things, because she loves her pastor and she wants him to be part of the solution, recognizing that there is a problem here. Number 3, what are the pros of the seeker-sensitive movement? If you're not familiar with the seeker-sensitive movement that really went on the rise in the 70s and 80s of last century, it was a movement of churches that wanted to become like the culture so that it wouldn't be such a shock when they came into the various church buildings around America. And so they blended into the culture and kind of made the gospel more attractive. And there's a lot more to say there, but it was sensitive to the seekers, which is what a seeker-sensitive movement is. Number 4, what are the cons of the seeker-sensitive movement? And so, number 3, what are the pros? And then number 4, what are the cons? And so those are the 4 questions to case study number 7, when prayer kills a church. Now, there's a lot in here that you'll have to think about. And so the pastor did right, the pastor could do better. Mable did right, Mable could do better. Biff did right, Biff can do better. And so with the 3 players here, and then you also have the church as well, how would you want the pastor to envision the church, to think about those that aren't part of the reunion? It's like going to a family reunion where you don't know any of the jokes, you don't know any of the subtleties, you don't have any of the backstories, you're truly an alien within that group. And so how would you want to envision the church, but yet not compromise what they believe as far as their ecclesiology, the doctrine of the church, how they do church? This is case study number 7, when prayer kills a church.
Thanks for joining us. Learn more and get access to other resources at lifeovercoffee.com.